My husband loves our kids in the best way that he knows how, but he lacks the tools to know how to really connect with them kind of on a deep level. And since fathers are, the examples for their daughters of how, a woman should be treated, I want to address an issue now so that she won't settle for in the future for less than she deserves. So my question is, how can I help my husband and my daughter build a better, more trusting, stronger relationship?
Do you realize the gravity of the question you're asking?
I'm beginning to.
Okay.
Yeah.
So a couple of things.
Definitely.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say there's definitely an urgency in my heart to address this now because she's halfway to adulthood, so I'm sensing that urgency now.
Okay, two big flags shot up for me just now. Flag number one is when you say he's a great dad, but doesn't know how to connect with him at a deep level. What does that mean?
So I guess there is just not a lot of connection or intentional interaction with them. And I say them. This question is about my daughter, but it kind of applies to both of them.
So does he come home and plop on the couch and just turn a game on? Or go to a study and scroll his phone?
So that, or he goes into the garage and, does his thing in the garage for a while.
Okay.
It's just, it's there's not really any intentional interaction. And then he, if he comes home from work and they're not in the room that he's in, he doesn't go seek them out. He doesn't go find them. It may be 2 or 3 hours that they're home or that he's home, before he has any interaction with them. There's just not a ton of intentionality there.
Okay.
Now, when they do interact, it's for the most part, it's good. It's normal, but you can just pleasant. Most of the time it's pleasant. Yeah. They're not always, but sometimes.
So let me ask you this. This is a deeper, harder question. Yeah. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And he's not on the phone, so I can't talk to him, so I can only ask you questions, okay?
Right.
Has he learned over the last 9, 10, 11 years that he doesn't do this thing right? And that this is Elizabeth's home? And this is how you need to do things? And he's learned that his kids don't really like him? And so he's come to the conclusion, however false it may be, that the greatest gift he can give his family is to go to work, make sure the direct deposit's still functioning, and stay out of everybody's way.
I don't think so. Maybe. Maybe. Okay. Okay, so this is my perspective, and I realize that there's two sides to this story, but
sure.
He has a lot, I can tell, and I know for a fact he has a lot of internal struggles with his own self-worth and, depression. He hasn't been diagnosed with anything, but it's pretty obvious.
Okay.
He's very moody and irritable most of the time, or at least half the time. And so I guess I've assumed that the disappearing is his way of coping. You know what I mean? He doesn't have to interact. If he doesn't have to interact, then he can't be asked questions or can't be burdened with anything. That's sort of how I have interpreted what's happening.
Okay. And if you've probably, if you ever listen to the show, you hear me talk about a dance the couples get into, all couples get into, me and my wife get into, every couple gets into dance.
Mm-hmm.
And they're very hard to peel back.
Yeah.
But one thing I want you to just ask yourself and examine is, sometimes when we know that someone we love has depression or they're struggling with an anxious season, right? And by the way, all these diagnostic things are just a symptom, a cluster of symptoms, right?
Right.
But if he knows I'm walking into the door, my wife's already cast this judgment about me, and my feelings aren't even working right, according to her, I don't put my clothes up the right way. I don't. When I got home, I just needed to exhale for a second, but I needed to actually go into my kid's bedroom and knock on their door where I don't really know what to say. I don't know how to say it. And you get what here's what I'm hearing across the country. Men are increasingly not like being at home because their homes feel like a failure factory.
Okay.
And that's not on you, but it's something to be cognizant about. That the world tells men you need to be doing this and you have to do this, and if you haven't done this, oh my gosh, and then you're not doing enough housework here, there's some truth to all of this.
Right.
But it has to be contextualized in this is what works for us. Okay?
Sure.
So, answering your original question, how does a dad build let me ask you one more thing. Here's the second thing, the second flag that went up all the way back. Jeez Louise, I'm talking too much.
It's okay.
And again, tell me if I'm wrong.
Okay, I will.
What is your husband not bringing you? What is he not providing for you?
I don't know how to properly answer that. I would
just vomit. Just vomit it.
Oh boy. I would say there's definitely a lack of like emotional security. He seems like a ticking time bomb. Not that an explosion would be anything like, he's not abusive or anything like that, but his moods are very unsettling to me.
My wife once told me it felt like I had a nuclear reactor in my chest.
Yeah.
And I never yelled. I didn't swear in our house. And of course, I would never hit anybody or anything like that. But she said, I knew. Right. I could feel it. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, his is not, he doesn't scream, but he is very, very harsh, very critical in his tone.
Okay.
And he treats, I got to back that up a little bit. The way that he speaks to me and the way that I see him speak to our kids makes me feel very much like a burden or an inconvenience. He's just very quick to be irritable, very quick to be not judgmental, but just, I don't know, just dismissive. Very irritated. But dismissive in a way that's like, oh,
okay. So here's what's important.
Okay.
I don't want you casting that on your daughter.
I know, and I have worried that that's been part of my thing.
No. I think I've done. You're trying to solve his relationship with her, which needs to be addressed, okay? And I'll give you some tips on that.
Okay.
But you have to sit down with him and have this conversation.
I know.
Because you're hoping that if he fixes it over here, it will somehow... The greatest gift a father can give his daughters twofold. Number one, she needs to know every single day how grateful you are that of all the daughters in the world, you got picked to get that one. Mm-hmm. That she's beautiful and loved no matter what, come what may. That's number one. Number two, the greatest gift a dad can give his daughter is to, on a minute-by-minute, hour-by-hour, day-by-day basis, love her mother recklessly.
Yeah.
And so you're trying to solve a problem over here. The problem is between the two of you.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I would agree.
So the hardest thing for most couples is that. Now, here's some low-level tips. Every kid is different. Mm-hmm. My son loves together time, long drives. We drove to Texas for the holidays this year instead of flying because he loves road trips. We just me and him in a car. It was awesome. He likes going hunting with me. He likes going fishing with me. He likes time with. Mm-hmm. That also means when I'm out in the garage, I invite him out there all the time. He doesn't always come, especially as he's getting older. Dude, when he was younger, it made every job take 5 hours longer.
Yeah.
But he came, and it was awesome. So presence with my daughter. Last night, we have an Olympic wrestling mat up in our living room. We wrestle. She's maniacal. And last night, I gave her boxing gloves, and it was like I'd unleashed the second boss on a video game. Like, oh.
That's awesome.
But here's the thing. It's intentional, and Or I gambled a half yes day for her. We had a Candyland tournament the other night, just talking trash. And we made a bet. I lost, so I had to give her a half yes day on this weekend. Here's the deal. Whether it's Candyland, whether it's wrestling, whether it's kicking a soccer ball, whether it's making a drive, the word there is intentional.
Mm-hmm.
And you just got to know what that is.
Mm-hmm.
The master underneath that ticking time bomb that you're talking about is your husband's got some demons that I can almost guarantee you originated when he was a kid.
Yeah, they did.
And he has to choose, I'm going to deal with those.
Okay.
And if he doesn't, it's the old backpack analogy. He has a backpack, and when he was a kid, some adults in his life shoved a whole bunch of bricks in him.
Mm-hmm.
And he can deal with them. He can go to a therapist. He can go to a trauma therapist. Almost every man that I know who's struggling with what your husband struggles with has some sort of abuse in their childhood.
He did, yeah. Yeah, pretty bad.
Almost everyone. And every day he's at war to not scream, yell, or punch, and he's fighting so hard, and he's doing good work. And it's hard to get a man on the other side of it to say, whoa, that's not the solution. The solution is just be free. Not to fight harder.
Right.
Right? But you can't do that. I can't do that. He's got to decide to do that and go sit with a trauma therapist and work through that. If he doesn't, he's choosing to take that backpack full of bricks and hand it to his kids and say, y'all carry this. I didn't want to do the work to set it down. Period.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
But y'all need to work on y'all's marriage.
Yeah.
Because your kids don't want to be around him right now because they feel that nuclear reactor more than you do.
Right. Right. And that's what I'm sensing.
They want to hug him, but it's like hugging an electric fence. They can't. It hurts.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I totally agree with that.
And then they back up, and then you get frustrated. He realizes he failed, and he just goes in the garage, and the whole thing starts over again.
Yep. That sounds right.
And I'm not saying that you just go cheer him on, like, you're so great, right? Mm-hmm. I get that. But you're the only person in that house that can lean into that electric fence.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, so I guess then my question would be, so I have in the past, and it's been a long time because he was so, like, dismissive of it, but I have in the past said, based off of your childhood, you have a lot of things you need to tackle, you need to address, and he does not think that he has a problem. He does not see the issue. So do you have any thoughts or suggestions then on how I can bring it up to him again in a way that maybe he'll understand?
Yes, you have to use I statements. Here's why.
Okay.
He's been fighting his whole life. And when you say you need to do some stuff, those gloves come on instantaneously. He's like Wolverine. Those blades shoot out without even thinking about it.
Mm-hmm.
Because somebody's been saying, you need to satisfy my sexual desires. You need to take the blame for my failures as an adult. He's been doing that since he was a little kid.
Right.
You're going to turn and flip the script as you look at him dead in the eye, holding his hands and say, I don't feel safe around you. I don't feel safe in my own living room. Not because you're going to hit me, but because I keep trying to plug into you and I don't feel loved in this house. I make money. I let you do whatever you want. I know, but I want you. Or I miss you. And I keep trying to hug you and I keep getting electrocuted.
That's good.
Will you fight your way back to me? Most men who had childhoods where they were hurt in some shape, form, or fashion are so vigilant about making sure the people around them are not hurt that when they come to realize the very things that kept you safe as a kid are hurting the people that you love the most, that sometimes is the crack in the armor that they'll say, okay, I'll go talk to somebody. And by the way, when I went and met with the person that ended up walking me through the most healing adventure I've ever been on, I went in full protest. After I had a PhD in counseling, by the way.
Wow, okay.
I was not happy to go. I went as a sort of middle finger to my wife.
Oh.
Like, fine.
Okay.
Watch this.
Right.
I'll even go do that. And I happened to go to a trauma therapist, and I felt it. She stared a hole right through me. She knew. Right when I walked in, she knew. And that was the first time ever I felt like, oh man, I met my match.
Okay.
So it's not like the clouds will part.
Right.
Here's the answer. Oh, so what do you want me to do? Go see one of those stupid counselors? Just one time will you go sit with somebody and tell them what actually what really happened to you?
Okay.
Let's get back to the original question. What do you want this house to feel like when you come home? How can I love you through that? How can I love you to that? And then you have to look in the mirror, probably get with a counselor, a couple of good friends, or a minister at your church, like whatever, whoever you make decisions with. Say, okay, here's the or what. I got a 9-year-old daughter. I want to be in a relationship where my daughter has a vivid feeling and a picture of what love looks like, what a marriage looks like, how a husband loves his wife. I don't have that. And how a wife loves her husband. I haven't done that well myself. I'm going to work on that. Or what? I'm going to leave. I'm just going to make peace with it. You get to decide that. But yes, everybody can have an or what statement. But every or what statement comes with choices. Thanks for the call, Elizabeth. Y'all have some hard conversations coming. Okay? The one piece of advice I'll give you on those conversations is write everything down beforehand. And if there's some old default behaviors that you both go to, just know they're coming. Plan for them, breathe through them, and keep on moving.